Ihiala, Anambra State. Led in evidence by the prosecution counsel, Adigboyega Awumolo, the witness stated that Mr. Kanu used the transmitter to incite violence and broadcast secessionist messages against the Nigerian state. A video recording showing Nnamdi Kanu inspecting the transmitter was also tendered and admitted, despite initial objections by the defense team led by Onyachi Ikpeazu. Now, the prosecution tendered a flash drive containing 18 video clips and 16 radio broadcasts attributed to Mr. Kanu, which the court admitted into evidence. A further hearing on the case has been adjourned till June the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th, within which the prosecution is expected to close its case. In another breakthrough in the war against insurgency, the Defense Headquarters has announced the arrest of a Chinese national during a counter-terrorism operation conducted by troops of Operation Hardin Kai in Borno State. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcus Kangie, says the individual, whose identity was not disclosed, claimed to be a minor and is currently in custody and undergoing interrogation. General Kangie, while providing updates on the activities of troops in the various theaters of operation, disclosed that 5 terrorist logistics supplies were also arrested.
Between 6 to 10 June as well, the troops, in conjunction with security agencies and hybrid forces, conducted offensive operations in Goza, Ngala, and Marte local government areas of Borno State, as well as Bade and Gujiba local government areas of Yobe State. During these operations, some terrorists were eliminated, while one drug peddler was arrested as well. Also, 3 kidnapped victims were rescued. The troops also recovered arms and ammunition, as well as improvised explosive devices making materials. Motorcycles, vehicles, among others, were also recovered. Terrorist camp and equipment were burned in situ. The troops also arrested 5 terrorist logistics suppliers, collaborators, and a Chinese national claiming to be a minor during a well-coordinated operations conducted in Pukawa and Gala local government areas of Borno State, as well as Gaidam local government area of Yobe State between 5 to 7 June 2025. Amongst the items recovered were vehicles, motorcycles, mobile phones, Chinese international passport, with the sum of 10,000 naira recovered from them.
Back to the courts. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos today convicted and sentenced 4 Filipinos and 8 Nigerians to 1 year imprisonment each for offenses bordering on cyber terrorism and internet fraud. Justice Yelen Bogoro also gave the Filipinos a fine of 1 million naira each. The convicts are a part of a larger number of the 792 people arrested during the surprise operation tagged Eagle Flush Operation by EFCC operatives in December 2024 at their hideout in a 7-story building called Big Leaf Building on Oyinjolaimi Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. They were all arraigned by the Lagos Zonal Directorate 1 of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ikoyi, Lagos, on separate charges of cyber terrorism and internet fraud. They all pleaded guilty to the offense when the charges were read to them, and Justice Bogoro convicted them accordingly. Upon the conviction of the defendants, the EFCC prosecution counsels asked the court to forfeit all the exhibits recovered from them, which includes monies, cars, and mobile devices, all of which the court ordered should be forfeited to the federal government of Nigeria. Apart from the 1 year imprisonment each and a fine of 1 million naira each, the judge also ordered that upon completion of their sentences, the Controller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service should ensure that the convicts are repatriated to their countries of origin within 7 days. I am not here to please critics, but residents of the Federal Capital Territory. These were the words of the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, during the commissioning of the Stage 2 of the Outer Southern Expressway in the nation's capital, which was attended by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. Mr. Wike also said he will ensure that the relocation of Apple mechanics comes to fruition under his administration. Our correspondent, Kumbi Abuluwade, reports.
The stage 2 of the Outer Southern Expressway, which links Apo and Wasta districts to Kabusa and other adjoining districts, is the latest project being commissioned by the FCT administration.
The Outer Southern Expressway commences from the villa right down through Apo, through Wasa, and up to Kuje to connect at the intersection of the Federal Highway A2 in Gwagwalada. The road is being developed progressively in stages. The first stage, which is from Villa Roundabout to Ring Road 1, is a full 10-lane expressway which was commissioned last year.
Honorable Minister of the FCT.
The FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, speaks on efforts by his administration to change the landscape of the FCT while highlighting his position on critics of his administration.
All of us as politicians, yes, we must criticize. Yes. There's no doubt about that. But in criticizing too does not mean that you don't see. We are not flagging off. We are commissioning. People are criticizing, oh, International Conference Center. You know, there are people naturally that don't have good taste. They don't have good taste. The only thing in that International Conference Center that was not changed is just the block work. Everything in that international conference, Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Conference Center, everything was changed. I'm not here to please unnecessary critics. I'm here to please the residents of Abuja.
The minister also puts to rest the relocation of Apo mechanics with these reassurance.
We have told the mechanic shed, they said since 2011, they have promised them they will relocate, then they will do this. Ours, it will not be promised. Ours is that we are going to do it. And Mr. President, we are not only going to do it, I will supervise it, I will chair the relocation.
It's time for President Bola Tinubu to deliver his speech, and he is represented by the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. He speaks on the significance of the road project.
This road stretching from Ring Road 1 junction all the way to Wasa Junction is a significant addition to the road networks in the heart of Abuja. Over the years, population growth and residential expansion have placed increased pressure on our road networks. Today, with the commissioning of this left-hand service carriageway, we are addressing that challenge head-on.
Done now, the President proceeds to commission the project. Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
It's still about 2 years to the next general election, but then it appears some groups have already commenced some groundwork. Now, the PBAT door-to-door movement is promising to mobilize grassroots support for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu in the next election. The movement says it took this stance due to the many achievements of the president in his first 2 years in office, which it believes has turned around the fortunes of Nigeria. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, reports.
So much we miss it.
From across the geopolitical zones of the country, members of the PBAT door-to-door movement have gathered in Abuja for a world press conference.
The UNESCO and
the movement aims to promote President Bola Tinubu's re-election bid while promoting his vision for Nigeria.
The PBAT door-to-door movement, a socio-political group dedicated to mobilizing grassroots support for the transformative leadership of His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, proudly extends heartfelt congratulations to our visionary president on the remarkable milestone of his second year in office. We also salute the resilience of the people of Nigeria for their commitment to our nation's democratic journey. In just 2 years, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has demonstrated unparalleled vision, courage, and resolve
to fund this organization, to drive it, and to make sure it is organically connected to Nigerians at the grassroots level, because we believe President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the one that can really take this country to that destination.
Members of the group highlight the various reforms of the administration, promising to mobilize for the president.
The BAT door-to-door movement campaign engages community, one household at a time, promoting the vision of Nigeria built on equity, empowerment, and economic transformation.
Declare our unalloyed support for what the president of the country is doing, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What needs to be given to our people in terms of remuneration to carry out this campaign that will get to the grassroots, both the youth, the market women, the students, that the interest of the Nigerian youth, the women, and Nigerians is important to Mr. President.
The group plans to undertake a range of strategic activities to ensure the widespread adoption of its vision for Nigeria.
In part two, after the break, River State Caucus in the House of Representatives cautioned Senator Siraki Dixon against inciting the people into any form of violence. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The SS operative explains how leader of proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, allegedly smuggled a radio transmitter into the country in a terrorism case filed against him by the federal government. Military authorities announced the arrest of a Chinese national during a counter-terrorism operation by troops in Borno State. And Iran launches ballistic missiles at Israel as its supreme leader vows to inflict heavy blows in retaliation for Israel's overnight strike. In the National Assembly, the River State Caucus of the House of Representatives is asking Senator Siraki Dixon to avoid inciting the people of River State into any form of violence. The caucus was reacting to the comments of the senator on Democracy Day, where he condemned President Bola Tinubu for not taking advantage of the Democracy Day celebration to put an end to the emergency rule in Rivers. The leader of the caucus, Kingsley Chinda, represented the position of the caucus during an interaction with journalists in Abuja.
The caucus cautions Senator Siraki Dixon, the River State caucus, unequivocally and clearly sends a clear caution and warning to Senator Siraki Dixon to stay clear from inciting Rivers people into any form of violence or attempting to cause any breakdown of law and order in our state. He is from Bayelsa State. If he wants to cause problem or crisis anywhere, let him go back to his home and do so. We will also call on the security agencies to put a tab on him and his actions, which are likely and capable of causing a breach of peace, particularly now that the state is working towards restoring peace amongst our citizens. We'll also call on the Senate Committee on Ethics to commence investigation into the unparliamentary actions of Siraki Dixon. And as a caucus, we will stand firm to follow up on this and ensure that this attitude, condemnable attitude of Senator Siraki Dixon, is completely addressed.
2 years ago, President Bola Tinubu, during his swearing-in, highlighted his administration's commitment to improving the lives of students through various initiatives that promote education and stability in the sector. A review shows that while funding and reform efforts point to renewed momentum, entrenched challenges such as funding, insecurity, inequality, and institutional inefficiencies presents a mixed report card. In this Democracy Day special report, our correspondent Gloria Mizoke reviews the programs initiated so far, how it is repositioning education and tackling the challenges in the sector.
The nation's education system has long been burdened by deep-rooted challenges, from unfunded schools and dilapidated infrastructure to prolonged labor disputes and an alarming rise in out-of-school children. These were among the pressing issues President Bola Tinubu inherited on assuming office on May 29, 2023. He pledged a bold transformation of the sector, promising reforms that would realign education with national development goals. One of the most urgent challenges is the 18.3 million out-of-school children as of last year, a staggering figure confirmed by UNICEF.
When our founding fathers started, we didn't have Almajiris. Why is it that 50, 60 years after independence, we have swarm of Almajiris on the street? It means that something has gone wrong, lack of proper planning.
To address this, the federal government, through the Universal Basic Education Commission, in partnership with UNICEF, is developing a national framework of action to improve school enrollment. Yet, disruptions continue. While the education sector has enjoyed relative stability in recent months, industrial actions persist, with teachers in the FCT still on strike, a reminder of unsolved tensions within the sector.
Public schools, they don't have good classroom. You see bad toilets, you see bad furnitures. Even in security, students are scared to go to school because they don't want to get kidnapped. So permit me to say it has been terrible, and the government needs to look at the education sector.
Thank you very much. To make education more accessible, the administration rolled out the Students' Loan Scheme, managed by the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund. As of May 3, 2025, the scheme had disbursed over 54.2 billion naira to students across 299 institutions.
The way Mr. President showed enthusiasm, we're not complaining about funding. It ensures that children of those who do not have the financial capacity will not be left behind. So we're not going to have a set of Nigerians that cannot access, because education is a leveler.
Meanwhile, the government is banking on data-driven reforms, strengthening teacher training, vocational skill acquisition, and improving educational data systems to drive global competitiveness.
The National Assembly has done well in trying to work with the executive arm in the education sector, especially with the passage of the NELFund establishment bill. You know, we have a situation where a lot of our students now can really look forward to pursuing their educational career without being afraid.
In a significant move, the federal government earmarked 80 billion naira for infrastructure upgrades in Unity schools. In addition, the education tax has been raised from 2.5% to 3% to bolster sector funding.
We've selected 18 universities, our prime universities, Ibadan, Lagos, Nsukka, ABU, Zaria, 18 of them, that we are giving them serious funding. We are committing for some of them 4.75 billion public universities, including state-owned universities. We are committing for each of these locations a minimum of 4.75 billion.
Amid progress, setbacks remain. The 2025 UTME was marred by technical glitches, leaving the JAMB registrar visibly emotional during his apology. The registrar of JAMB, Professor Ishakolede, fought back tears as he addressed the impact of technical glitches that marred the 2025 UTME.
I unreservedly apologize for his incident. Represents a significant setback.
A more shocking development. 5 WAEC English exam in the dark in parts of the country.
I felt very bad when I saw that, because we must take responsibility at some point, and we need to do things differently. So we need to invest in education.
Yet, despite the billions in funding and a slew of initiatives, experts warn that a lot more needs to be done.
So the quality of the Nigerian child is excellent, but the environment is terrible. It's the environment that is terrible. The teaching environment, the research environment, where the students live, and we go in big cars, fantastic buildings in a poor society. So my advice is that let us be realistic. Let us put value and premium on the Nigerian child's education.
It is not as if the needs are not there. The concerns some members of public might have, like you said, paucity of fund. But if we must continue to invest on anything, education must continue to take its pride of place.
Amid promises of reform, the consensus is that the road to recovery in Nigeria's education sector is long, complex, and urgent. The question now is whether the government can sustain the momentum and finally deliver lasting change for the future of Nigeria's children. From Abuja, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Right, it's that time now where we head to the nation's capital, and Millicent Walker is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Millicent.
It's that time indeed. Thank you, Ayotunde. We begin with some sad news in Taraba State, where at least 6 persons have been killed with many others injured following a devastating windstorm that wreaked havoc in Garba Chede community. A visit to the affected community by the Northeast Development Commission comes with a sigh of relief as the NEDC assessed the damage done and assured residents of further support.
This is Garba Chede community in Bali local government area of Taraba State. A heavy windstorm in the area led to the destruction of these structures, which used to be people's homes. Schools, business centers and hospitals were not spared as the storm was accompanied by heavy downpour.
6 people lose their life on this accident. What happened last Monday, that is 9 days ago. 1 old man, 2 married women, 1 married man and 2 children lose their life on that very day. And almost 280 houses have been destroyed totally. Some people, like 100 houses, do not get where to sleep safe.
Officials of the Northeast Development Commission are in the community to assess the situation and provide intervention for the victims.
The commission the mandate of this commission is in rehabilitating, and improving the lives of the people of the Northeast. So, and such disasters like this, that's why the management of the commission, under the auspices of the MD CEO, sent this team. I'm not the only one. You can see the head of R and ER. You've seen people from the states and all of them here. So they've sent us to come and assess this and go back to report. And we are assuring you that the commission will intervene in terms of food items and non-food items.
Intervention like this, the commission or any government office will not give you what you lost. So we are going to only support them so that they will recover. So whatever we are given, whatever the commission is giving, is just to help them recover from that devastation. So there is not. People may think that we are coming to rebuild their houses or do something. No, it's not so.
The state government is also planning to provide some succor to the affected persons.
When I heard about it, I felt it, and I have to call the SEMA for intervention. And immediately they respond. I send the pictures to them, and I believe that something is going to be done about it.
The NEDC team also paid a condolence visit on the chief of Garba Chede to sympathize with him and intimate him on their mission to his community.
Still ahead on the news at 10, major financial markets are taking the hit in the aftermath of the conflict between Iran and Israel as oil price benchmark surged more than 7%. That's on Business News. Please join us again. short in the news at 10, coming to you live from our Abuja studios. And as part of efforts to modernize governance, the federal government has announced that the Nigerian civil service will transition to full paperless operations by December this year. Addressing a news conference in Abuja ahead of the commemoration of the 2025 African Public Service Day and Civil Service Week, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Dr. Didi Wilson-Jack, says the move is in accordance with the Federal Civil Service Strategy and Implementation Plan 2021 to 2025, which is set to conclude at the end of the year.
You know, at the beginning of this year, we realized that the strategy plan, the FC 25, ends this year, precisely December 31st of this year. And we said to ourselves, we must accelerate the implementation of the pillars of reform of that plan. And one of the key pillars of that plan is digitalization. And so we're saying to all the MDAs, you have to go paperless. And we're not saying what we are not doing or experiencing, because I'm happy to let you know that even before I came on board, the office of the head of the civil service of the Federation has been paperless. So what we are doing is to accelerate the digital transformation.
And to some company news, thousands of young chess enthusiasts are set to converge on Lagos for this year's National Schools Team Chess Championship. The championship, organized in partnership with MTN Nigeria, EcoBank and Nigeria Chess Federation, will take place from June the 26th to the 28th at the EcoBank Pan-African Center in Victoria Island, Lagos.
In a significant boost for youth development, MTN Nigeria and EcoBank have teamed up to co-sponsor this year's National Schools Team Chess Championship in Lagos.
The celebrity of chess in Nigeria.
Organized in partnership with the Nigeria Chess Federation, the championship is to champion intellectual growth, critical thinking and problem-solving abilities among young Nigerians. This initiative underscores the commitment of all parties to nurturing a new generation of strategic thinkers and leaders.
For us, we want to be part of youth empowerment. We want to be part of, when people see us, they will know that, okay, yeah, EcoBank is part of this chess competition, because it's part of our CSR, and again, it's as a young child, I used to look at chess and like, will I ever know how to play this? It's a very intellectual game.
The initiative also aims to identify and nurture promising talent who will represent Nigeria in international competitions, with the ultimate goal of producing future world champions.
I would like to highlight that any competition goes beyond a sponsorship. It is very much in line with one of our most important responsibilities as a corporate citizen, which is to create platforms where potential meets possibilities. We recognize that Nigeria's future depends on a teeming young population, and chess provides the strategic lessons that can help in honing their skills, their thinking, and their values.
The championship is open to students at the primary, secondary, and tertiary levels, bringing together over 2,500 participants from 400 schools across Nigeria.
Trophies and cash prizes will be awarded to the top 3 teams in each category, and the top 10 teams will also get cash prizes. That's for primary, secondary, and tertiary, along with medals and cash award for the best player on each board, that is board 1 to board 5, across all categories.
Driven by a shared vision to develop the next generation of chess grandmasters, MTN Nigeria and EcoBank have thrown their weight behind the initiative, committed to turning the dreams of these young players into reality.
And that's it from the nation's capital. Let's find out more how the situation with Iran and Israel is affecting the financial markets. Dominic Iwiwu has more on business news.
Thank you, Millicent. On business news, global crude oil futures surged more than 7% today, following airstrikes by Israel against Iran and the retaliation by the Islamic Republic. Oil price benchmark, that's Brent crude, fell by $4.87 to settle at $74.23 per barrel, amid fear among investors that the conflict could spread to disrupt oil supplies in the Middle East. The conflict, which has already affected major global financial and commodities markets, is seen as the most significant geopolitical event since Russia launched its full-scale invasion on Ukraine 3 years ago. Ahead of the release of Nigeria's official inflation report for May on Monday next week, financial derivatives company has projected the headline rate lower at 23.15%. According to the economic think tank and advisory firm, this would mark a 0.56% decline from the 23.71% higher rate recorded in April, largely to stability in the forex market and the drop in diesel and PMS prices. FDC also forecasts other inflation sub-indices to move in a similar direction, with food inflation projected to decline to 20.73% from 21.26%, while core inflation is expected to ease to 22.85% from 23.39%. Well, it has been just 3 trading sessions in another holiday-shortened week, but the domestic stock market's benchmark index hit another milestone. Will Ibong tells us more.
Welcome to the stock market reports. Final trading day for the week, and the NGX hits another all-time high as the ASI crosses the 115,000 psychological level for the very first time. We see the index up 0.67%, and the market cap is nearing 73 trillion naira. And this comes as the NGX resumed from the Democracy Day holiday and right after Israel's strike on Iran. Oil prices have surged on the news. However, major global stock markets fell while Nigeria is reacting in the opposite direction. Let's look at the big movers, shall we? In the oil and gas space, MRS, O&O rallied today. Japan Gold, somewhere in there. MRS rose nearly 10% today, having traded flat since March of this year. Other defense stocks like Boa Cement from the industrial goods sector rallied today as well, rising and giving that boost to the industrial goods counter, 2.41% up. And we see the banking stocks also up today. But Living Trust Mortgage Bank saw a lot of movement in terms of price action. However, Northern Nigeria Flour Mills lost 10%. If we see the losers for the followed closely by corn oil. Corn oil appears not to have been rallying in line with its counterparts locally and globally. With 115,000 points in the bag, where is the NGX heading next? We'll be watching, and that's the stock market report. Will Ibong signing out.
Thank you, Will. Meanwhile, it's a different scenario for major global stock markets as they ended Friday's trading session negative due to the Iran-Israel conflict. Here are some of the closing figures. And that's it on business news. Back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. Still to come on the news at 10, Iran launches ballistic missiles at Israel as its supreme leader vows to inflict heavy blows in retaliation for Israel's overnight strike. Please join us again. Welcome back. Iran has launched ballistic missiles in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv in retaliation for Israel's overnight strikes. About 40 people are being treated in hospitals across Israel, and 2 are said to be in critical condition. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Israel's military has continued strikes on Iran after they killed the Revolutionary Guard chief Hossein Salami and other commanders overnight. Israel launched a massive attack on Iran, assassinating senior Iranian military leaders and 6 nuclear scientists. Iran fired about 100 drones towards its territory in retaliation, many of which were intercepted. The US President Donald Trump has urged Iran to make a deal on its nuclear program, warning of even more brutal Israeli attacks. Iran accused the US of supporting Israel's strikes.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before, steps to weaponize this enriched uranium. And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
The black box from the Air India plane, which crashed shortly after takeoff in Ahmedabad, killing 241 people, has been recovered. It is not yet clear what caused the crash, which Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, here seen visiting relatives of the dead, described as heartbreaking beyond words. Remarkably, there was one survivor, Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, a British man who was sitting in seat 11A, here walking away from the crash. Air India and the Indian government are looking into several aspects of what may have caused the plane to come down. This includes potential issues with the jet's engine thrust, its flaps, and why the landing gear remained open.
For some reason, enough lift wasn't being generated to keep the aircraft climbing. That's usually associated with not enough thrust for some reason or another, but more than stating that would be to get into the realms of speculation.
Images and news from India is absolutely devastating, and I speak for the entire country in saying our thoughts are with each and every one of those involved. There will be British and Indian families across the land who are absolutely impacted by this, and our thoughts, first and foremost, are with them. Obviously, the investigation is going on. We've dispatched an investigation team that's been deployed. The Foreign Secretary is leading on this, and we'll obviously update as soon as we can.
Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has apologized to the Spanish people after an escalating corruption scandal which brought down a senior Socialist Party colleague. Sanchez, who has led Spain since 2018, said there was no such thing as zero corruption, and he sought to distance himself from the affair, ruling out early elections. Santos Cerdán has been asked to testify in court after a judge suggested he may have acted with former party officials in improperly awarding public contracts in exchange for kickbacks. North Korea says it has successfully relaunched its new 5,000-ton naval destroyer less than a month after it capsized during the first attempt. The country's leader, Kim Jong-un, had reacted furiously to the warship's failed launch in May and demanded it be quickly repaired. At least 4 officials, 3 shipyard officials and 1 senior official have since been arrested over the incident. State media says the ship has now been fully restored.
We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this...
And a Democratic U.S. senator has been forcibly removed from a news conference held by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in Los Angeles and placed in handcuffs.
That has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically...
Noem was giving an update on immigration enforcement after nearly a week of protests in the city when Senator Alex Padilla interrupted and started shouting a question. Video of the incident shows the senator struggling with multiple Secret Service agents before being shoved out of the room and dragged away before uniformed FBI agents placed him on the ground and arrested him. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you so much, Simon. Chris Adams is standing by to give us the latest in the world of sports. Chris.
Thank you, Ayo. Welcome to Sports News. Ladies in sports have honored the historic Under-19 women's cricket team, who in January this year secured its first ever ICC Women's T20 World Cup win in Malaysia, defeating highly fancied New Zealand. The junior female Yellow Greens were honored in Lagos as part of activities to mark the 10-year anniversary of Ladies in Sports Conference and appreciating the efforts of not only the young female cricketers, but also 9-time African champions, the Super Falcons of Nigeria, who are targeting a 10th title at next month's WAFCON in Morocco.
Personally, it means a lot to me for my brand and for the sports and Nigeria cricket entirely. So it means a lot to us. And of course, we have so many other athletes who are coming up like this, and definitely that's what we wish for. And going into the tournament, we actually had the targets. We had plans to, use this means to introduce the sports to Nigeria as a whole and the world. And of course, with a lot of training, a lot of success, in the tournament, that actually came to reality, and that was actually the best part of it all in the tournament.
I feel so very, very happy because I'm seeing other young girls here around, and me too, because it's hard to even see girls playing cricket, and some people, they will be surprised that you are playing cricket. And this will help us grow and make cricket known to Nigerians.
I think it is good actually for the sports, because I've watched the sports grow over time and become something that's really big and exciting. So it's really nice to have such a recognition.
And FIFA President Gianni Infantino says the Club World Cup, which kicks off on Saturday, marks a historic new era for the game, comparing it to the first World Cup held in 1930. The 32-team competition with clubs from all continents gets underway, with Lionel Messi's Inter Miami facing Egyptian club Al Ahly at Hard Rock Stadium. And former Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina has been dumped out of the Queen's Club Championships earlier today by qualifier Tatiana Maria, who set up a semi-final against Australian Open champion Madison Keys. German mother of two, Maria regrouped after failing to serve for the match to complete a 6-4, 7-6 win.
Brilliant. She watched it so well. 2 match points. Brilliant. Such a big win.
Elsewhere, top seed Alexander Zverev has advanced to the semi-finals on home cross at the Stuttgart Open earlier today to set up a meeting with American Bell Shelton for a place in the final. Zverev hit 31 winners to 20 unforced errors to get past 31st ranked American Brandon Nakashima 7-5-6-4 for the 4th time in as many meetings.
And quite incredible forehand winner.
That sport is back to you, Ayo.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. A DSS operative today told the court in Abuja how leader of proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, allegedly smuggled a radio transmitter into the country in the terrorism case filed against him by the federal government. Military authorities today announced the arrest of a Chinese national during a counter-terrorism operation by troops in Borno State. And Iran has launched ballistic missiles at Israel as its supreme leader vows to inflict heavy blows in retaliation for Israel's overnight strike. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. You have a good night and a great weekend.